which company makes better decisions and makes a better product? The one that has massive capital saved up because they live on a Bitcoin standard, they are sound money, or the one that is in debt and has to make results every single month? Like it's not even close. Like the whole reason why I'm now having the company and being way more free is because I saved up for 6 years while I was working Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin stack gave me the freedom to quit my job and say, hey, even if I don't make money, I will still be fine. So on an individual basis, on a company basis, on a country basis, it's always better to have saved up capital to deploy in interesting ideas and innovations. The whole, like, I think it's just like a very high IQ stupid lie that the central bankers are telling.
Yeah. Well, so true. Yeah, it's opposite too. And like, I love that you were saying that for us, because that's like, I was just thinking this other day, I was like, what invention have we had over the last 100 years? Like when we were on sound money, we had cars, planes, the train, like electricity, like, and there's been nothing. It's just the bedroom mousetraps the last 100 years since central banks have come in. Like there's been almost no invention. It's been just iteration. That's it. Like, how can I build how many iPhones are gonna get? Like, that's maybe the one thing. Like, I don't even know what you could say out there. So I love that. It's just like you said, Robin, it's a complete lie. That is Keynesian lie that's been sold to us. And we all believe it because we're fish in the water. And if you're in the water, how do you know you're wet?
Yeah. All right, guys. Awesome stream. I'm going to take off. Thank you. Thanks everyone in the chat as well. And see you guys next week.
See you, buddy.
Brother. Be good.
Later, guys.
Hey, see you, Rajat. Take it easy.
Be good, brother.
You too. Bye, guys.
Thanks.
I think my thoughts on this. Whoa, my God. I think my thoughts on this is I kind of look at it as like, I mean, they're totally different. One fiat goes down forever, one currency goes down forever, one currency goes up forever. And if you think about businesses, just think about an individual right now who's trying to save for a down payment in a house. So let's say you're 25 years old and you've kind of scoped out the housing prices in your area. And you're like, okay, I need $25,000 to get a down payment so I can buy a house. Based on my income, based on my expenses, it's going to take me about 10 years. Well, by the time you get to that milestone, the $25,000 that you saved is worth significantly less because the housing prices have doubled. So you have to keep saving, and you can't do what you otherwise would have done. You have to keep saving because that currency is melting. Versus the flip side, it's like maybe it's shortcutted from 10 years to 3 years because you're saving in a currency that actually appreciates based on its fixed supply and ever increasing demand. So I think the main theme around what we've been talking about for the last half hour is just like, you can choose today to start measuring your life and storing your life in Bitcoin versus fiat. One's trending downwards forever and will never stop trending downwards. And one's going up forever, assuming nothing crazy happens. So I don't know. I know there's one certainty there. One's a probability or a probably. I'm putting all my chips in the probability side of things, and I want to hold the thing that's going to go up over time versus melt forever. So from a business perspective, it's the same kind of thing. You might be saving up for a new machine or a new building or a new whatever. Hire somebody. If it takes you 5 years in fiat, maybe it takes you 2 years in Bitcoin. It kind of just shortcuts the whole thing, kind of what Robin said. Without Bitcoin, he wouldn't be doing this live stream right now. If he was saving in fiat, he wouldn't be sitting here today. And it's the same for individuals, business owners, because businesses just are individuals.
So true. That was such a great example, Robin, because it's something that I've seen in my own life as well. And you talked about it so well. It's hard to explain. And it's something we theorize about to a degree, and we talk to people about. But we need to start using those stories even more, because that really can shape people much more than us, obviously, just talking to them and sharing our story instead. So I love that. And it's such a great example of like when there's abundance and things are way cheaper because you're on a Bitcoin stand. And that's the thing too. It's like AI is already taking job loss. Job losses are going like crazy. It's only going to keep going. So what's going to buffer you from all that? And the Bitcoin that you do have left, even if you were kind of saying this too, like, even if I don't make money, this is like the greatest point of all of it. Even if I don't make money and life is still getting cheaper all around me because of this abundance, energy abundance, whatever's going on, and I didn't make any more and I'm spending down my Bitcoin, what you had left still gains in purchasing power. So theoretically, you could live off that Bitcoin forever without even doing anything. Now, I would suggest, depending on your age, hopefully you're doing something to provide value and replenish those sats. But theoretically, again, that purchasing power keeps going up year after year, cycle after cycle in Bitcoin. So you could just never make more after 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, and you could just live on whatever's left forever. So does it play out in practice like that? Depending on your stack and what's going on and how you live, of course. But it's an interesting case study as to these things really playing out in real time.
Yeah, and like two things. The first thing is I like to bring it down to individuals and to smaller things like individuals or companies, because what the experts always do is they talk in very big and vague terms, and then it can make sense. Yeah, we have to stimulate the economy to get more money in, so we have more employment and all of that. Like if someone can speak good and brings those arguments, it can sound to most people like an awesome thing. And if you then bring down like, okay, which company makes more money, the one that is completely indebted or the one that has a strong capital base? It's a very clear choice. And even simpler, if you are an individual highly indebted, like you have like 300,000 in student loan debt and like 200,000 from a car, like whatever you're doing, you are way more desperate to do whatever it takes to make some money. That's not a good position to be innovative, to be long-term thinking. That's the formula for disaster, just to make short-term gains. Like that's like, let's make it to next quarter, next month, next week, next day, and not like how can we scale that up for the next 10, 20, 30 years. And that's how I approach it, because I live on it's always like weird to say I live on a Bitcoin standard, because I still do fiat things. I still have that I want to completely pay off because I can't pay it off all at once. I still transact in fiat. Like there's a lot of fiat things still in my life, but like having that capital base, having like 80+% or 90+% of your net worth in Bitcoin really empowers you. And the funny thing is, for my example, just to close that loop, I've never had to sell a single sat for the business. It always evened out somehow. I always made the monthly payment from the very first month. And luckily, in the beginning, I had a lot of luck, and it's a whole nother podcast. But that's awesome. But the stack gave me the confidence to do that. Without the stack, I wouldn't have even done that. And that's, I think, the main difference there.
Yeah, I kind of had the same story, honestly, not quite to the same extent, but I never would have left my job if I didn't have Bitcoin. I looked at it as kind of my insurance policy, honestly. And I wasn't as fortunate as you, Robin. I had to spend some right off the hop, and it kind of killed me because I bought at the top and then I had to sell some at the bottom just to kind of, pay the bills. Yep. But that's what it was there for. And I think that people really need to see Bitcoin for what it is. And that's what it is. It's a savings account. And if you have capital that you're not going to need for the next 6 months, it doesn't make sense to be anywhere other than Bitcoin for those reasons. So of course it's going to go up. Of course we all want to be rich. Of course this and that. But the main thing that it does is it just retains the purchasing power. I know for a fact that my dollar tomorrow is going to be worth less than my dollar today. It's impossible not to. We're at that stage. We're at late stage fiat right now. And so it was Bitcoin, because without that, I probably would still be working a job right now, because the fiat system is much different. You're living and earning in a currency that goes down forever. So you just have to keep working harder and harder, and you never get a chance to take a breath. But with Bitcoin, it's like, okay, well, I got this thing. I'm going to do my best here. I want to earn an income. I don't want to have to spend that Bitcoin or sell that Bitcoin. So I'm going to fight like hell so I don't have to. But if I need to tap into that, it's there. And it's not going to be worth half of what it is in a year from now, because it's sound money. It's hard money. It's different.
What you doing? To the question that like Era 2530 was asking, it's really interesting actually. Would you guys be able to stack more sats with your old fiat job? For me, I actually have to answer different. I think yes. Like right now, not. But I've gone like, especially in the beginning, it was for me like I can just cover my expenses kind of a thing for like very long time, and I worked a lot more. So if I would have spent the same hours working somewhere in a fiat industry, I probably would have stacked, especially in the first 1.5 years, more Bitcoin, and now less. But who cares? Like, why are we accumulating money? I want to just be free. Like I
build shit.
And build fun things and build shit and do things like waking up like I have periods in my life where I wake up in the 3 in the morning and I have an idea and I just do that. And it usually turns out to be a shitty idea because it was 3 in the morning. But it's so fun to be in that mood of just like having to just being able to build something and not being like, oh, I have to go to work at like 9, so I cannot wake up at 3. I just woke up at 3, built till like 10 in the morning, and then I can take a nap because I can. And so like being flexible, having that freedom and being like, it's a whole different thing. I've never thought that, but it really empowers creativity in a whole different way and makes brain connections that I didn't have before. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's so true. There's so many different ways to look at it, and you only get to go down the rabbit hole even further. It's just it's this positive sum flywheel that Bitcoin creates, that when you have the time to jump off the hamster wheel, you get to start theorizing. So like 15, 18 years ago, when I got into real estate and when I was leaving and retiring from playing hockey, I really got into Robert Kiyosaki, and I was telling Jorv this, Bob Proctor, personal development, all this stuff. And I went down those rabbit holes. And Robert Kiyosaki used to talk about this, and this was, the stuff I would watch was pre-Bitcoin, and so real estate to me was probably the best thing you could do, and you can do some of the things in business that you can do in real estate, whether it's flipping businesses or rehabbing businesses, leverage buyouts. Carl Icahn, anyone who's familiar with him would did this a lot, but taking properties and you raise money from other people. You have no money in the deal. You fix up the property, you put a tenant in there, rent it out, and now you have an asset, and then when you refinance it, you pull all the money out, give it back to the investors, and you have an asset and making you cash flow every single month, and you have no money in the deal, or at least theoretically. Sometimes it might happen, maybe not. Maybe you get a check. You might get a check at closing, and you made money with other people's money, on top of it at closing too. So there's, really cool stuff. But he would say, the more real estate I buy, the more time I have. And then the more time I have, the more real estate I get to buy. And it was just like this perfect, as the cash flow built and grew and grew and grew. And now we have Bitcoin. And one of the reasons I left real estate was because I was doing it for myself, and I was helping investors and a handful of people, and I was helping some tenants and residents and make a good place for them to live. But then you realize, well, again, I'm going to be Marty McFly in Back to the Future 2, and I'm going to have a shotgun in my car just to get gas because the wealth gap is getting out of control. No one's doing what I'm doing. The amount of time, energy, attention, capital, experience, knowledge, all this stuff that I had to have just to do what I was doing. You realize, oh my gosh, like no one else can do this. And then at that time, as I'm realizing that after 5, 6, 7, 8 years of doing it, I was really starting to grok Bitcoin, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is the answer. Like, this is how the guy can either be a lawyer or be a real estate guy or dig ditches or be a plumber, electrician, work at McDonald's, work at Tim Hortons, the coffee shop, and he can save more than he spends and get ahead in life, because that's literally impossible in the fiat system as it currently stands. And that was one of those mind-blowing moments for me 10 years ago where I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is literally insane. And so now people, you don't have to be Robert Kiyosaki or Grant Cardone or, Donald Trump or, some entrepreneur, Warren Buffett, where like I'm buying businesses and I'm flipping them and all this knowledge, experience, and there's a lot that goes into that. And so now you can do whatever you're doing, going back to this job question, whatever job it is, no matter what, if you save more than you spend, then you can save in the hardest asset, the hardest protocol, the hardest money known to humans ever in all of human history. And then the more Bitcoin you have and the wealthier you become, the more time you have. You step off the hamster wheel, you get to go think more, you're spending more time with your family, you're going down these rabbit holes in your mind, and you start realizing things that you've never, ever had the time to even experience before. And I don't know where I shared the story the other day, but it was somebody that was sharing the story of, he was like, I got to retire my parents because of Bitcoin this last, 5 years, 10 years. And money was always a very big financial burden to us in life. And now he's like, I literally see a different side of my parents. Like they have a different personality because they're not worrying about money anymore. And it's because of Bitcoin, because we're stacking, it used to be cash flow, but now we're stacking Bitcoin, we're stacking sats. And now we get wealthier. They're off the hamster wheel, so they don't have this burden over them. And he's like, I kind of feel robbed because I was stolen. This childhood felt stolen from me. But the overriding emotion of happiness now that we actually get that, and I actually get to see my family and the humans around me for who they really were meant to be, instead of these people burdened by fiat and the hamster wheel. It's life changing, and that's what we're here for, and that's what we want for all people. Because we could work at our old job, I could go back and do a real estate, but you realize like it's a zero-sum game. It's like, okay, I'm gonna kill myself doing this, like, and I might make out, a few of us, but like, again, I'm gonna need a shotgun to go get freaking gas for my car, because it's gonna be a hellscape. It's gonna be civil unrest everywhere because we keep going the wrong direction in society. So what does it matter at the end of the day? So anyway, a couple quick stories.
Well, I mean, we're only here for so long, and I think people really discount how much has actually been stolen from them through the years. Time with their parents, time with their kids, time with your friends, time with your dog, just time doing things that you enjoy doing. Like, it's incredibly rare, the fact that we're here on Earth right now, and everybody's just like, they're forced to either censor themselves or work themselves to the bone. And it's like, for what? Like, for what? 100 years from now, there's going to be a new version of us here. It's not going to be us. They're not going to know who we are. People spend their whole life working for this bullshit thing that can be printed. And like Brandon, like, yeah, I mean, a great story there, but that's how life should be. Like that's how life should be. If we didn't have the people running the world for the last 100 years, the Federal Reserve, the central bankers, the money, or what are they called? The money changers? Is that what
in the Bible, right? Yeah, the money changers. Yep.
That's what they are. That's what they've taken from us. And so for me, with Bitcoin, I think that people should spend some time in the next little while here and watch. It's about a 4-hour clip from a guy named Naval. And so just kind of following up to the backstory here of like, would I have more money if I stayed at my fiat job, or would I have more Bitcoin? I think probably right now, but like Robin said, in 10 years from now, no, I'll have exponentially more because of doing my own thing and learning about Bitcoin and saving in Bitcoin and earning in Bitcoin, right? I get paid in Bitcoin by people, which I wouldn't be able to do at my job. But the thing that Naval said, the video is called How to Get Rich, I think, or something like that. It's a very cheesy, corny name, but it's about a 4-hour podcast. I've listened to it about 20 times. And every time I listen to it, I learn more from it. But his whole thing is like finding leverage in life. And if you're working a job, you're getting paid to be there. You have to give up your time to earn money. That's what you're trading there. But if you can start creating things, you can be going to sleep at night. If you have things in place, whether it's a podcast or a YouTube channel or a community, or you're selling your skills, the skills that you've accumulated at your job, if you can find a way to package that together and sell it to somebody, you're going to make money without you having to put in the time. That's leverage. So kind of Naval's whole thing was like, the people who are going to be rich in the next decade are going to be media, coding, and there was one more too, media, coding. I don't know, but none of them were like making products and selling them. None of them were like going to work and working a job and getting rich that way. It was always finding something that only you have, packaging that up, selling it to the world. And then you earn money without having to sacrifice your time. That's the real leverage that people need to realize. And then once you have that, it takes some time. It's a very difficult path to get there. But once you're there, then you're free. And I even said that this morning. I see Scotty in the chat here. He said that he just left his job this week. And so we were talking about that. And I said, I still remember when I quit my job in 2021. Like it was I was so scared and anxious about, what's next. But then as soon as that day ended and I walked out of there, it was like the most freeing thing I've ever experienced before. I said it was literally like being in a cage for 30 years and somebody opened the door for me. And I don't think people who have always had a job will ever understand that until they actually walk through that door. And it's more than just money. It's getting to wake up and decide what you want to do that day. It's getting to decide who you want to spend your time with. And yeah, of course you want to make some money. You don't want to have your sat balance go down. You want to figure out a way to kind of keep it up or at least even, but it's just a completely different life, I think, when you're doing things on your own.
Is that the podcast that I was putting up? Is that the right one?
How to Get Rich. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yep.